You look cold. I have some extra groceries here. Would you like them?
The bus ticket cost her last $20, but it gave him a future worth $18 million. Ididiong, 28 years old and black, saw the starving Korean boy huddled outside the convenience store at midnight. She had her own son to feed, rent 3 days overdue, but she bought him food anyway. Every night for 7 months. No one asked her to. No one thanked her. She just did it. When he disappeared one night, Min-jae made a wild promise through broken English and tears. I come back, I find you, make you proud. She smiled sadly, then gave him the only thing of value she owned, a small jade bracelet her grandmother had given her. For luck, she said, for remember me. 11 years vanished. Min-jae became a tech CEO in Seoul, spent 3 years searching for her across 2 continents, hired private investigators, traced immigration records, found nothing. Tonight he'd walk into a community outreach center in Atlanta. Ididiong would be there, still wearing a replacement jade bracelet she'd bought to remember him. Neither knew they were seconds away from reunion. If this story is already touching your heart, hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss stories like this. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I love connecting with viewers around the world. Let's continue. Min-jae Kang woke at 5:30 a.m. in a glass penthouse overlooking the Han River in Seoul. Floor-to-ceiling windows. The city glittered below like a circuit board. Dawn painted the sky purple and gold. He didn't notice. He never did. The espresso machine was Italian, top of the line, $12,000. He pressed a button and walked to his closet before the cup filled. 60 suits hung in perfect rows, all custom-tailored, all identical in their perfection. He grabbed one without looking, charcoal grey, like always. The apartment was massive, 4,000 square feet, minimalist, cold, white walls, black furniture, nothing personal. Anywhere. No photos, no art that meant anything, nothing that said a human being actually lived here. It looked like a showroom, felt like a mausoleum. His phone vibrated on the marble counter. His assistant. "Morning, Mr. Kang. Your flight to Atlanta leaves at noon. The partnership meeting is confirmed for tomorrow." Min-jae texted back in Korean, confirmed, but his mind wasn't on the meeting. It was on the real reason he was going to Atlanta. The search, always the search. He walked to his home office, unlocked the bottom drawer of his desk. Inside, a small wooden box. He opened it carefully, reverently. A faded jade bracelet lay nestled in silk. Cheap stone, probably worth $20 when it was new. The clasp was broken. The jade had a crack running through it. This was the only thing that mattered. He touched it gently, the way you touch something sacred. 11 years old. The jade was losing its colour despite his careful preservation. Every morning he looked at it. Every morning the same thought. Where is she? Where is Ididiong? The memory came whether he wanted it or not. They always did. 11 years ago. Min-jae was 17. Winter, Atlanta. 3 weeks in America. His mother had just died. Cancer. They'd come to the US for experimental treatment. Sold everything in Korea. Their apartment, her jewellery, borrowed money from everyone they knew. The treatment failed. She died in a hospital room that smelled like disinfectant and death, holding his hand, whispering in Korean, "Be strong, Min-jae. You are smart. You will survive. Promise me." 3 days after the funeral, Min-jae had nothing. No money, no family in America. His visa was expiring. He couldn't afford a flight back to Korea. Had nowhere to go back to anyway. They'd sold everything. His father had abandoned them years ago. No siblings, no relatives who cared. He was alone in a foreign country where he barely spoke the language, where every word felt like choking, where grief sat on his chest, like a stone. He slept in bus stations for a week, then under bridges, in doorways, in parks. Atlanta winter was nothing like Korean winter, but it was still cold enough to hurt, still cold enough to make him shake through the nights. By week 3, he'd lost 15 pounds. His clothes hung off him. His face was hollow. He couldn't remember the last time he'd eaten a full meal. He survived on scraps, whatever he could find in trash bins behind restaurants, day-old bread someone might throw away, half-eaten food left on tables. He tried to stay invisible, tried not to bother anyone. But people noticed, they always noticed. Some looked away, some stared with pity or disgust, some called the police. He learned to run, learned to hide, learned that being hungry hurt less than being seen. That night, the night everything changed, Min-jae was sitting outside a 24-hour convenience store on the south side. 11 p.m. January cold. His stomach hurt so bad he couldn't stand. Straight. 3 days since he'd eaten anything. 2 days since he'd had water. He was dizzy, fading. A woman walked out of the store. Black, late 20s, worn coat, tired eyes. She carried 2 plastic bags of groceries. Min-jae tried not to look at her, but his eyes locked on the bags. Food. His stomach twisted. The woman stopped, looked at him, really looked. Most people didn't. Most people saw a homeless kid and kept walking. But she stopped. Her eyes travelled over him. The torn jacket, the dirty clothes, the way he was shaking. She set her bags down, walked back into the store. Min-jae watched, confused. She came out 2 minutes later with a hot sandwich, a bottle of water, a granola bar, an apple. She walked over, knelt down in front of him. Her voice was soft, southern accent, kind. "Hey, baby, you look hungry. Here, take this." She held out the sandwich. Min-jae stared. His English was broken, limited. He didn't understand everything she said, but he understood kindness. He understood the sandwich. He took it with shaking hands, ate it in 6 bites, couldn't stop, couldn't slow down. Tears ran down his face. He didn't even taste it, just needed it inside him, needed to not hurt any more. The woman watched, didn't judge, didn't rush him. When he finished, she handed him the water. "Drink slow, okay? Slow. You'll get sick if you drink too fast." Min-jae nodded, sipped. His throat was so dry it hurt. She gave him the granola bar, the apple. He ate those too, slower this time. When he was done, he looked at her. She was crying. "Why you cry?" His English was terrible, but he had to ask. She wiped her eyes. "Because you shouldn't be out here alone. You're just a baby. How old are you?" 17. "Oh, Lord," she shook her head. "Where's your family?" Min-jae's throat closed. "Dead. Mama dead. 3 weeks." The woman's hand went to her mouth. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." She pulled out her phone. "Let me call someone. Social services, maybe they can help." Min-jae panicked. "No, no police, no social. They send me back Korea. I have nothing there. Nothing. Please." The woman hesitated, then put her phone away. Okay, no police. What's your name?" "Min-jae. I'm a Didiong. That's a beautiful name." She smiled sadly. "My grandmother's name. Nigerian." She stood, picked up her grocery bags. "These were supposed to last my son and me all week, but you need them more." She handed him one of the bags. Min-jae looked inside. Bread, peanut butter, bananas, crackers, juice boxes. He looked up at her, shocked. "This too much. I cannot. You can. You will." She pressed the bag into his hands. "And Min-jae, I work nights at the hospital. I pass this store every night around this time. I'll bring you food, okay? You don't have to be alone." Min-jae couldn't speak, could only cry. Ididiong reached into her coat pocket, pulled out a small jade bracelet. It was simple, cheap, but clearly precious to her. "My grandmother gave this to me before she passed. She said it would bring me luck and protection." She took Min-jae's wrist, slipped the bracelet on. It was too small, meant for a woman, but she made it fit. "You need luck more than me right now. Keep this. Remember someone cares." Then she picked up her remaining grocery bag and walked away. Min-jae sat there, holding the bag of food, wearing the bracelet, sobbing. For the first time in 3 weeks, he didn't feel alone. Ididiong came back the next night, and the next, and the next. For 7 months, every single night she worked, she brought him food. Sandwiches, fruit, soup in thermoses, leftovers from her own dinner. Some nights she only had a little. She gave it anyway. They talked. Her English, his broken attempts. She taught him words. He taught her Korean phrases. She told him about her son, Marcus, 6 years old, bright, full of energy, about working 2 jobs, nursing assistant at night, daycare helper during the day, about barely making rent, about her own struggles, but never complained. Always smiled, always asked, "How are you today, Minjae? You okay?" He told her about his mother, about Korea, about feeling lost. She listened, really listened, didn't offer empty platitudes, just sat with him in his pain. By month 2, Minjae had gained back some weight, had enough energy to think. Edidiong brought him books from the library, taught him English. "You're smart," she'd say. "You're going to do something amazing one day. I feel it." He didn't believe her, but he wanted to. By month 4, she brought him a coat. Old but warm. "I found it at Goodwill," she said. "Thought of you." Winter wasn't over yet. He wore it every day. By month 6, she helped him find day labour jobs, washing dishes, moving boxes, anything that paid cash. She connected him with a Korean church. They helped him get a work permit, find a tiny room to rent. He was off the streets. For the first time since his mother died, he had a place to sleep. But Edidiong kept coming, kept bringing food, kept checking on him. "Why you help me?" Minjae asked one night. His English was better now. "You don't know me." Edidiong smiled. "Because I see you, Minjae. I see how hard you're trying. I see your heart. That matters more than anything else." By month 7, Minjae had saved enough for a bus ticket to New York. A Korean family there had offered him work, a real job with a real paycheck. A chance. The night before he left, he met Edidiong outside the convenience store one last time. She brought him a full meal. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, biscuits. A feast. They sat together on the curb. Minjae's English was good enough now to really talk. "Thank you," he said, "for everything. You saved my life." Edidiong's eyes filled. "You saved yourself. I just gave you some food." "No, you give me hope. You make me believe I'm worth something." She touched his face gently. "You were always worth something. Don't ever forget that." Minjae pulled out the jade bracelet. He'd worn it every day for 7 months. "I want... give back. No." Edidiong pushed his hand away. "That's yours now. For luck, remember? But you need. My grandmother's luck already worked. It brought you into my life." She smiled. "That's all the luck I needed." Minjae's voice broke. "I promise you, Edidiong. I promise I make something of myself. I come back. I find you. I make you proud." "Oh, baby," she hugged him. "You already make me proud." When they pulled apart, both were crying. Minjae got on the bus the next morning, watched Atlanta disappear through the window, touched the jade bracelet on his wrist, whispered in Korean, "I'll come back, I promise." 11 years passed. Minjae worked in New York, 18-hour days, 2 jobs, then 3, saved everything, taught himself coding at night in a library, built a simple app, then another. By year 3, his app went viral in Korea, a productivity tool that integrated Korean and English seamlessly. Korean investors noticed, wanted to bring him back to Seoul. He went, built a company, worked, like a demon, slept 4 hours a night, poured everything into his work. By year 6, his company was worth 10 million. By year 8, 50 million. By year 10, he went public. The IPO made him a multimillionaire overnight. The press called him a genius, a visionary, Korea's youngest tech CEO. He was on magazine covers, gave speeches, won awards, and none of it mattered. Every night he looked at the jade bracelet, thought about Edidiong, wondered where she was, if she was okay, if she remembered him. He hired his first private investigator in year 8, find Edidiong. Black woman, late 20s when I knew her, worked as a nursing assistant in Atlanta, had a young son named Marcus, last name unknown. The investigator came back 3 months later. "Mr. Kang, Edidiong is a relatively common Nigerian name in Atlanta. Without a last name or more specific information, it's like finding a needle in a haystack." Minjae hired 2 more investigators, gave them everything he remembered. The convenience store location, the hospital where she worked, the approximate dates. They searched, tracked hospital employment records. But Edidiong had worked through a temp agency that had since closed. No permanent records, no trail. They found 14 women named Edidiong in the Atlanta area. Min-jae flew to the US, met each one personally. None of them were her. He'd know her face anywhere. Her eyes, her smile. None of these women were his Edidiong. By year 11, he'd spent over $200,000 searching. His assistant, the investigators, even his business partners told him to let it go. She probably doesn't want to be found. Maybe she's moved on. Maybe she doesn't remember you, but Min-jae couldn't let go, wouldn't. Everything he'd built, every success, every achievement, he'd done it thinking of her words. You're going to do something amazing. I feel it. She'd believed in him when he couldn't believe in himself. She'd seen him when he was invisible. He had to find her, had to tell her what she'd meant, had to keep his promise. Then, 6 weeks ago, his assistant found something, a community outreach program in Atlanta. They were hosting a series of workshops on supporting homeless youth. One of the coordinators listed was E. Okonkwo. The bio mentioned she'd worked as a nursing assistant for 15 years before transitioning to social work. Min-jae's heart stopped. Okonkwo, Nigerian surname, nursing assistant. Atlanta. It had to be her. He called immediately, asked to speak with E. Okonkwo. She was out. He left a message, called back daily for 2 weeks, never reached her. Finally, he saw the centre was hosting a partnership meeting. Local businesses invited to discuss funding and support. Min-jae booked a flight to Atlanta, registered his company as a potential donor, and now here he was, 12 hours from seeing her, if it was really her. Min-jae landed in Atlanta at 4 p.m, checked into a hotel, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, just paced, holding the jade bracelet, rehearsing what he'd say. What if she doesn't remember me? What if she does remember but doesn't care? What if 11 years is too long? He pushed the thoughts away. He had to try. At 6:30 p.m, Min-jae dressed in a simple suit, left the jade bracelet at the hotel. Too much to explain immediately. He'd bring it later, after he knew for sure. The community centre was in a part of Atlanta he recognised, not far from where he'd lived on the streets. The neighbourhood had changed, gentrified, new buildings, new shops. But some things were the same. The convenience store was still there. Min-jae drove past it slowly, saw the curb where he used to sit, where Edidiong had first given him food. His throat tightened. He parked at the community centre. 7 p.m. The meeting started in 15 minutes. Inside, the building was warm, bright, full of people. Families, professionals, volunteers. A woman at the check-in table smiled. Name, Min-jae Kang, Tech. Solutions International. She scanned her list. Ah yes, welcome Mr. Kang. Thank you for your interest in supporting our programs. Of course, Min-jae's heart hammered. Is E. Okonkwo here tonight? Edidiong? She's running a workshop right now, but she'll join us for the partnership meeting. Should be here any minute. Edidiong? It was her. Min-jae could barely breathe. Thank you. He walked into the main room. 30 people were seated, chatting, waiting. Min-jae found a seat near the back. His hands shook. A man at the front stood. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pastor James, director of the centre. Thank you for coming. Tonight we'll discuss how local businesses can partner with us to support our homeless youth programs. He continued talking, but Min-jae didn't hear. His eyes were locked on the door, waiting. Then she walked in. Min-jae's world stopped. Edidiong. Older, yes. 11 years older. Her hair was natural now, pulled back. She wore professional clothes, a simple dress, comfortable shoes, glasses, but her face, her eyes, her smile when she greeted someone. It was her. She was here. She was real. Edidiong walked to the front, set down a folder, scanning the room, greeting people she knew. Her eyes passed over Min-jae without recognition. Why would she recognise him? He'd been a starving 17-year-old boy. Now he was 28, filled out, successful, confident, completely different. Pastor James gestured to her. Everyone, this is Edidiong Okonkwo, our Youth Services Coordinator. She'll be presenting our current programs and needs. Edidiong smiled at the room. Good evening. Thank you all for being here. Her voice. Minjai's eyes filled. That voice. The same kindness, the same warmth. She pulled up a presentation, started talking about the centre's work. Homeless youth statistics, success stories, needs. Minjae didn't hear the words, just watched her, the way she moved, the way she cared. You could hear it in her voice, see it in her eyes. She still cared, still helped, still saw people others ignored. Of course she did. That's who she was. The presentation ended. Edidiong opened the floor for questions. Hands went up. A woman asked about funding allocations. Edidiong answered thoroughly, passionately. A man asked about success rates. She had numbers ready, stories ready. Then she pointed to someone in the middle. Yes, you had a question? Minjae realized it was his turn. He hadn't raised his hand, but she was looking in his direction. He stood slowly. His voice came out rough, accent thick. Yes, thank you. I want to know about your homeless youth program specifically. What is the biggest challenge? Edidiong tilted her head, studying him. The biggest challenge is trust. These kids have been failed by every system, every adult. They don't trust easily. We have to show up consistently, prove we're different, prove we won't abandon them. Minjae's chest tightened. Those words, show up consistently, that's exactly what she'd done for him. How long, he asked, how long does it take to build that trust? Edidiong smiled sadly. Months, sometimes years, but it's worth it. Every single kid is worth it. Minjae sat down before his legs gave out. She still believed that. After 11 years, still believed every person was worth the effort. The meeting continued. Partnership opportunities were discussed, donation levels, volunteer options. Minjae barely tracked it. Finally, Pastor James wrapped up. Thank you, everyone. Please feel free to stay, talk with our staff, ask more questions. We have refreshments in the back. People stood, mingling. Minjae watched Edidiong. She was immediately surrounded. People asking questions, shaking her hand, praising the programs. He waited. Couldn't approach her yet, didn't know what to say. How do you walk up to someone who saved your life 11 years ago and say thank you? How do you tell them they're the reason you're alive? 10 minutes passed. The crowd around Edidiong thinned. Minjae took a breath, started walking toward her. Then a teenage boy approached her. Ms. Edidiong, can I talk to you? Of course, sweetie. What's wrong? The boy, maybe 16, looked distressed. They're kicking me out of my foster home. I got nowhere to go. Edidiong's expression shifted immediately. Concern, focus, action. Okay, let's sit down. We'll figure this out. She guided him to chairs in the corner, pulled out her phone, started making calls. Minjae watched from a distance. This was her. This was exactly who she'd been 11 years ago, dropping everything to help someone in need. 30 minutes later, Edidiong had found the boy temporary housing, called his social worker, arranged a meeting for tomorrow. The boy left, relief visible on his face. Thank you, Ms. Edidiong. You always come through. She hugged him. You're going to be okay, I promise. We'll figure this out together. When he was gone, Edidiong sat alone for a moment, rubbed her eyes. She looked tired, so tired. Minjae approached slowly. Excuse me, Ms. Okonkwo. She looked up, smiled professionally. Yes, can I help you? Minjae's carefully prepared speech vanished. He just stared. She stood, extended her hand. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name during the meeting. Minjae Kang. I represent Tech Solutions International from Seoul. We're interested in supporting your programs. Her handshake was warm, brief. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Kang. Seoul, that's wonderful. We'd love to discuss partnership opportunities. Do you have specific programs you're interested in? Yes. Minjae's voice was unsteady. The homeless youth program, the one you described. Why specifically that program? Edidiong asked, genuinely curious. Because Minjae paused, searching for words. Because I was homeless once, here in Atlanta, 11 years ago. Edidiong's expression softened immediately. I'm so sorry, that must have been incredibly difficult. It was, but someone helped me. A woman. She gave me food. Every night for 7 months, she saved my life. Edidiong's eyes were kind. That's beautiful. It sounds like she made a real difference. She did. Minjae's voice cracked. She's the reason I'm standing here, the reason I'm successful. I've been searching for her for 3 years, to say thank you, to keep a promise I made. Edidiong smiled. I hope you find her. Minjae looked directly at her. I think I just did. Edidiong blinked. I'm sorry. Her name was Edidiong. She worked as a nursing assistant. She had a young son. She wore a jade bracelet her grandmother gave her. She was the kindest person I've ever met. Edidiong went completely still. Her hand went to her wrist, to a jade bracelet, different from the one she'd given him, but the same style, newer. She stared at Minjae. Her voice was barely a whisper. Minjae. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. It's me. I came back. I kept my promise. Edidiong's purse fell from her hands. She covered her mouth, eyes wide, filling with tears. Oh my God, Minjae, you're alive. You're here. I told you I'd come back. I told you I'd make you proud. Edidiong started crying, shaking. Minjae, you were just a boy. You were so thin, so scared. I looked for you. After you left, I went to that convenience store every night for months. You were gone. I thought maybe something happened to you. I'm okay. Because of you, I'm okay. If you're feeling this reunion as much as I am, show some love by hitting that like button. Comment below what you would do if you found someone who saved your life years ago. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. We share powerful stories like this every week. Where are you watching from? Let me know. People were staring now. Pastor James walked over. Edidiong, what's wrong? She couldn't speak, just stared at Minjae. Minjae turned to the pastor. I'm sorry for the disruption, but 11 years ago, this woman saved my life. I've been searching for her ever since. The pastor's eyes widened. Understanding dawned. Oh my. Edidiong, is this? It's him. Her voice broke. The boy I fed. He came back. The room went silent, everyone watching. Edidiong and Minjae just stared at each other, 11 years collapsing into this single moment. Finally, Edidiong stepped forward, wrapped her arms around him. Minjae held her, sobbing. She was real. After 3 years of searching, after 11 years of remembering, she was here. Thank you, he whispered in Korean, then English. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Edidiong pulled back, hands on his face. Look at you. You're so grown up. You're healthy. You're here. I never forgot you. Not one day. I never forgot you either. They laughed through tears. Pastor James cleared his throat gently. Maybe you two want to talk somewhere private? Edidiong nodded, wiping her eyes. Yes, please. She led Minjae to a small office off the main room, closed the door. They sat facing each other, both still crying, both still in shock. I can't believe it's you, Edidiong said. I can't believe you're here. I can't believe I found you. Minjae pulled out his phone, showed her a photo, the jade bracelet carefully preserved in a glass case. You kept it. Edidiong's hand went to her chest. All these years, every day. It's the most valuable thing I own. It's just cheap jade. It saved my life. Minjae leaned forward. That bracelet reminded me every single day that someone believed in me. When I wanted to give up, I'd touch it. Remember your words. You're going to do something amazing. I feel it. I can't believe you remember that. I remember everything, every conversation, every meal, every kindness. Edidiong shook her head, fresh tears falling. You were just a kid who needed help. No, you were an angel. You had nothing. You were struggling. You had your own son to feed, and you gave me everything anyway. Edidiong's voice dropped. I didn't give you everything. I gave you food. You gave me hope. You gave me a reason to survive. You saw me when I was invisible. Silence settled between them. Then Edidiong asked softly, "What happened after you left Atlanta?" Minjae took a breath. "I went to New York, worked 3 jobs, saved everything, taught myself coding, built an app. It went viral in Korea. I moved back to Seoul, started a company. Now," he gestured vaguely, "now I'm a CEO tech company. We went public last year." Edidiong stared. "You're a CEO, $18 million company, but none of it matters if I can't find you to say thank you." She laughed through tears. "Minjae, you didn't need to find me." "Yes, I did. I made you a promise. I said I'd come back. I said I'd make you proud. You made me proud the day you got off the streets, the day you chose to keep going. That's when I was proud. I kept going because of you." Minjae's voice intensified. "Do you understand? When my mother died, I wanted to die too. I was alone, scared, in a foreign country. No one cared if I lived or disappeared. Then you showed up. Every night. With food, yes, but also with kindness. You talked to me like I mattered, like I was human." Edidiong was fully crying now. "You were human. You are human. But the world didn't see me that way. You did. And that changed everything." They sat in that truth. Edidiong wiped her eyes. "Tell me about your company. What do you do?" "We build technology that breaks language barriers. Apps, software, translation tools. Help people communicate across cultures." Edidiong smiled. "That's perfect. That's so you." "Why?" "Because you understand what it's like to not be understood, to be lost in a language you don't speak, to need connection." Minjae nodded slowly. "Yes, exactly. You employ people?" "Over 300. In Seoul, New York, and we're expanding to 6 more cities. That's incredible. I try to hire people others won't. People with gaps in their resumes, people who've been homeless, people who just need a chance. Like someone once gave me." Edidiong reached across, took his hand. "You became exactly who I knew you'd be. I became who you taught me to be." They smiled at each other. Then Minjae asked, "What about you? Tell me about your life. What happened after I left?" Edidiong sighed. "I kept working as a nursing assistant for 10 years, raised my son, Marcus. He's 17 now, same age you were when we met." "Where is he?" "College, full scholarship to Georgia Tech, studying engineering." Minjae's face lit up. "That's amazing." "Edidiong, that's incredible." She smiled proudly. "He's brilliant, works so hard. I'm so proud of him. You raised him alone?" "His father left when Marcus was 3, so yes, alone. But we made it work. That must have been hard." "It was, still is sometimes, but we survived." Edidiong looked at him. "Kind of like you survived. When did you become a social worker?" 3 years ago. I got my degree part-time while working. Took 6 years. But I wanted to do more than just nursing. Wanted to help kids who fell through the cracks, like I did." Edidiong nodded. "Exactly. I see so many kids like you were. Alone, scared, hungry. The system fails them. I wanted to be what you were to me. Someone who shows up. Someone who doesn't give up on them." Minjae's throat tightened. "You're still saving people." "I try. It's never enough, but I try." Silence. Then Minjae said, "I want to help. Help how? Your programs, this center. Let me fund it. Let me give back." Edidiong held up her hand. "Minjae, you don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do. I owe you everything." "No, you don't understand. I didn't help you so you'd owe me. I helped you because it was right, because you needed help." Minjae leaned forward. "And now I can help you. I have resources, money, connections. Let me support your work." Edidiong studied him. "This isn't about paying me back. This is about paying forward, about helping the next kid who's sleeping outside that convenience store, about making sure no one else has to be as alone as I was." Her eyes filled again. Okay, we can talk about that. But Minjae, I need you to know something." "What? I'm not the same person I was 11 years ago. Neither am I. I'm older, tired, I've made mistakes, I've struggled. I'm not some perfect angel you've built up in your memory." Minjae smiled. "I don't need you to be perfect. I need you to be you, the woman who saw me, who cared. That's all I've been searching for." Edidiong exhaled. "Okay, then let's figure this out together." They talked for 2 more hours about the programs, the needs, the kids. Min-jae asked questions. Edidiong answered honestly, showed him statistics, success stories, failures too. She didn't hide the hard parts. By 9 p.m. they had the outline of a plan. Min-jae would fund a comprehensive program, housing support, education, job training, mental health services, everything the current system lacked. "We'll call it the Jade Initiative," Min-jae said, "after the bracelet, after what saved me." Edidiong smiled. "I like that." They walked out of the office, together. The centre was mostly empty now. Pastor James was waiting. "Everything okay?" "More than okay." Edidiong's voice was bright. "Mr. Kang is going to partner with us on a major initiative for homeless youth." The pastor's eyes widened. "Seriously, very seriously." Min-jae pulled out his business card. "I'll have my team contact you this week. We'll set up formal meetings. But Pastor, this is happening, whatever you need." The pastor shook his hand vigorously. Thank you so much. Don't thank me. Thank Edidiong. She's the one who started this 11 years ago." They walked outside together. The night air was cool. Atlanta glittered around them. Min-jae turned to Edidiong. "Can I take you to dinner? Tonight?" She hesitated. "I should get home. Marcus is waiting." "Tomorrow then?" "Please, I just found you. I'm not ready to say goodbye yet." Edidiong smiled. "Tomorrow. But Min-jae, this can't just be about the past. If we're going to work together, if we're going to be in each other's lives, it has to be about now too, I agree. So tomorrow we talk about now, about who we are today, not just who we were. Deal." They exchanged numbers. Edidiong hugged him one more time. "I'm so glad you're okay. I'm so glad you found me. Me too." She walked to her car, an old Honda, at least 15 years old. Min-jae watched her drive away. Then he looked up at the sky. "Thank you," he whispered in Korean. "Thank you for leading me back to her." He drove back to his hotel, called his assistant in Seoul. It was afternoon there. "I found her." His assistant, who'd helped search for 3 years, gasped. "You found Edidiong?" "Yes, she's here. She's real. She's everything I remembered." "Sir, that's incredible. Cancel my flight back to Seoul. I'm staying in Atlanta for a while." "How long?" "As long as it takes." That night, Min-jae couldn't sleep. Just lay in bed, holding the jade bracelet, thinking about Edidiong, about the girl who'd given her last bit of food to a stranger, who'd become a woman still giving. Everything to help others. He'd found her. After 3 years of searching, after 11 years of remembering, and tomorrow they'd have dinner. Talk about now, about the future. Min-jae smiled in the dark. The promise he'd made as a 17-year-old boy. "I'll come back. I'll find you. I'll make you proud." He'd kept it. And somehow, miraculously, she'd waited. Not for him necessarily, but she'd stayed the same beautiful soul, still helping, still caring, still seeing people others ignored. Tomorrow couldn't come fast enough. The next evening, Min-jae picked Edidiong up at 7. He'd chosen a restaurant carefully. Nice, but not ostentatious. Comfortable. The kind of place where you could talk. Edidiong wore a simple dress, smiled when she saw him. "You clean up nice, so do you." They drove in comfortable silence. At the restaurant they were seated at a quiet corner table, ordered food, then just looked at each other. "This is surreal," Edidiong said. "Yesterday I didn't know if you were alive or dead. Today we're having dinner." "I know, I keep thinking I'll wake up and this will be a dream. It's not a dream." She reached across, touched his hand. "You're really here, so are you." They talked through dinner, not about the past, about now. Edidiong told him about Marcus, his dreams of becoming an engineer, his scholarship, his friends. "My whole world revolves around him," she said. "Everything I do thinking about him. What kind of world am I leaving for him? That's beautiful." She smiled. "What about you? Any kids? Wife? Girlfriend?" Min-jae shook his head. "No, I've dated, but nothing serious. Why not?" He was quiet. Then, honestly, "Because I was looking for you." Edidiong's breath caught. "Min-jae, I know how that sounds, but it's true. Every woman I met I compared to you, to your kindness, your strength. No one measured up. That's not fair to you or to them. I know, but I couldn't help it. You saved me in every way a person can be saved. How do you move on from that? Edidiong's eyes filled. You don't owe me your life. Maybe not, but I want to give it anyway. Silence hung between them. Then Edidiong said softly, I thought about you too. Over the years, wondered where you were, if you were okay, if you remembered me. Every day, I remembered you every single day. They finished dinner, drove to the convenience store, the one where they'd met. It was still open, still bright, still the same. They sat on the curb, the exact spot where Minjai used to sit 11 years ago. This is where you first saw me, Minjai said. Right here. I thought you were going to die, Edidiong whispered. You were so thin, so pale. I'd never seen someone look that empty. I was empty, until you filled me back up. They sat shoulder to shoulder, looking at the store. What made you stop? Minjai asked. That first night. What made you help me? Edidiong thought. I saw my son in you. I thought, what if that was Marcus? What if he was alone and scared and no one helped? I'd want someone to see him, to care, so I had to be that someone for you. Minjai's voice was rough. You were everything. You still are.